Day, everybody, and welcome to the third Saturday in October. It's Tennessee, it's Alabama, and we've got everything covered for you right here at Volquest.com, part of the On3 family. This is the VFL's Players Lounge, and I'm your host, Eric Kane. Every single week, we talk to some VFLs, we reflect on the season as a whole, we look back on last week's game, and of course, we preview the game coming up here today, and today is going to be a big one. All right, we've got a couple of guys on here who have made a whole lot of noise against Alabama, and I can't wait to bring you and tell you who those guys are here in just a moment here on the VFL's Players Lounge. It is brought to you by the Volunteer Club, powered by Spire Sports, the VFL's Players Lounge, every single game day right here on Volquest. So let's go ahead and bring our guys on, making a repeat appearance already on one game this year, and he's coming back again. That would be former Tennessee running back Jay Graham. Jay, big week.
Eric, man, I'm pumped up. I'm hyped, man. Top 10 matchup. This thing about to go down at the river, man. It's on, man.
And a guy that made a whole lot of blocks for Jay throughout his career, one in particular, 1996, coming around from the left guard, folding up, getting that middle linebacker, springing Jay for about 80 yards. That would be this man right here, Spencer Riley. Spencer, how we doing today, man?
Good, man. Just excited to be on the show with you guys today and see a former teammate I hadn't seen in a while, and just remember those old times of beating Alabama brutally.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this game means so much to so many different people. Obviously, to you guys, to the fans. It's Tennessee, Alabama. Enough said. It doesn't even matter what happened in the last 15 years and what's to come in this matchup. And of course, we'll get to that. But Jay, this matchup, what's it mean for you, Tennessee, Alabama?
I mean, when you first come to school, and Spencer knows this, it's your identity, right? So
100%.
We're Tennessee Volunteers, but this game is about it's the third Saturday in October. Is like oil and water, crimson colors versus volunteer orange. And it just has that feel. Even the game before, you itching, right? So you know how those guys felt playing LSU, right? Because Alabama's in the back of their head. You remember how we used to have to fight that, fight that feeling. We're trying to get to this week, and we went through it just like they did. They're going through it right now. We had to scratch that 10-year itch. So that feeling and that energy that comes along with that game is unbelievable. But if you go undefeated, right? People gonna say, but or you lose one game, right? You don't want it to be that Alabama. People go, but you didn't win that game, right? You want them to say, you win games and you beat Alabama. So this is the first year that opportunity is there. So.
Spencer, you are an East Tennessee guy through and through, raised in. Everybody says, this place is God's country, that place is God. Let's just get something straight. Jefferson County is God's country, all right? You attend the University of Tennessee, team captain, take a lot of pride in that. What's this Alabama game mean for you?
Well, I was very fortunate and blessed over my tenure there. I never lost to Alabama, so they can't take anything away from me. So I don't like anybody from the state of Alabama when it comes to football. It's pretty simple. We are Tennessee Vol fans, and that's what it is in this household when it comes to football. And it's definitely an exciting time for me. And Florida game was the first time I probably moved back to a ball game in 3 or 4 years, and got to see a bunch of guys. And my wife Beth and my wife got to go. Looking forward to going back this weekend and seeing some old friends. And wife's going to be out of town, so it's me and my defense coordinator from Jeff County. It's going to go this weekend, so we're looking forward to that.
Spencer, you said that was your first time you've been back in quite some time. What did you think about that environment at Neyland Stadium for that big game? Because I say that because it was really good, but it might be even better here later coming up today.
Well, I was sitting 50-yard line, 12 rows up, so I will say this much. It was not nearly as loud as it was in 1997, 98, 99, just because the people – we were in front of 110,000 people when we played. So, when you reduce the crowd noise, but it's still a great atmosphere. Don't get me wrong. People go, is that the loudest place you've ever been? In 1997 through 1999? 100%. It's a crazy place to be. It's a great atmosphere. These kids don't understand. The third Saturday of October, when it comes down to this right here, You're undefeated. They're undefeated. They don't like you. You don't like them. And let's go play football and strap it up, and let's see who comes out the winner.
Jay, Tennessee's coming in this game with some momentum, man. I mean, it's we'll talk about this rivalry and the records and all that here in a little bit. But I mean, Tennessee just went down to LSU, to the Bayou, and they just smoked them. I mean, point blank, they just beat their ass a little bit, right? I mean, that's just plain and simple. The special teams set the tone for that football game. You being a special teams guy, especially coaching a lot of that, I want to get your thoughts on how big the special teams unit was last week.
Well, special teams is so important because before your defense go out there a lot of times, right, you got your kickoff team going down there first, right? And you got to be able to take advantage of the mistakes that are made, right? Especially in this year, you got a kickoff right there that they recover right there. Especially when you going on kickoff, you don't know if they're going to fair catch it or not, right? But that's where the hidden yardage is. That's why I love being a special teams coordinator, because that tells you more about your team than anything. Because it's offensive and defensive players come together, right, in order to see if they can make a difference. And you look at this year, our kickoff team has been phenomenal this year. There's nothing getting out of there. They're making tackles inside the 20, and the plays they made last week was unbelievable. Now you're seeing the punt return just because of defense. The better your defense is, now your punt return puts your offense in the best position. Now you're seeing the offense, the punt return team starting to set up the offense. This is team football at its best. That's that third phase that no one wants to talk about. That third phase that most coaches, like Spencer, he know about special teams, But as a coach, they get extra time to go stomp around and block people, while we're doing special teams, But it's so important as far as making your team better. So I'm just excited. That's the thing that I love watching, every week is our special teams and Coach Eckler out there getting them hyped, I love seeing that kind of stuff. So that's the team.
It's kind of funny. You mentioned there. I mean, no one likes to talk about special teams whatsoever. It's one of those things that everybody just forgets about. But Spencer, when you're gifted, essentially 10 points, like Tennessee was against LSU on the road, as an offensive lineman, as a guy in this offense, I mean, it's not like it's pressure's off you, because I don't think Tennessee plays a lot of pressure on them. But you got to feel good when you're gifted pretty much that right out of the gate.
Well, anytime some team gives you 10 points, you'll take it. You know what I mean? Because now hey, if we go out there and execute and do our job, it's going to be a brutal day for them. The Tigers didn't have a chance. I'll just be honest with you. After those two plays, I was like, this ball game's not going to be close. And I was expecting a really close football game as I watched it on Saturday. But it was not even a close football game from the get-go. We executed in all three phases on Saturday. And it was fun to watch, and it was exciting to watch. And, man, we get to the defensive part of it, but the defensive line I'm telling you, that's the spot that I thought we were probably the weakest, but they probably got one of the best motivators I've ever been around in my entire life. So, just excited to watch those guys with those special teams points. Anytime you can win that phase, because I've been on the opposite side of that as a head coach. Special teams will beat you. They win you a football game too in a heartbeat.
Spencer, you just brought up something as we continue to see Tennessee dominating LSU from a season ago. Last week, Jabari Small, that's his second touchdown on the day. Spencer, was he your offensive line coach when you were at Tennessee for a year or two?
He was tackle and tight ends coach. So he was offensive tackles and tight ends coach.
Wow. So, obviously he's been in the SEC for 30 years or whatever. And, I think he's coached defensive line all but 2 years, but that's interesting. Of course, you played, guard and center. He was coaching tackles and tight ends, but you were around that guy every day. Did you see that he was going to be a great one back then?
He just got it, man. He got it. The kids got him. He's definitely what you call player's coach. 100% a player's coach. He enjoyed being around him. He enjoyed being around his family. It's crazy. I seen him, I guess, probably during the summer. And I remember when he had his first kids, and I seen them for the first time, and I don't know how long. So, man, I'm telling you, it's just crazy to see his kids grow up And he's like, hey, you got kids. So my kid's in college. So I'm like, it's just crazy to see where these things go and our relationships as with our coaches. And Jay can tell you that, man. I mean, Rodney Garner, Mike Berry, Philip Fulmer, they're all like fathers to me. They taught me so many things. Randy Sanders, David Custer. All those guys have made a great impact on my life. And doing what I do today, not only as a football coach, but as a father and a husband.
Yes.
Alabama, it's a big game coming up, and I want to continue to look back at last week for a couple of minutes. Jay, we tried to get this out of Heupel, and he said the right answer and all that, which is smart. But do you enjoy celebrating at home after a big win, or do you enjoy staying on the field, celebrating with 15, 20,000 screaming fans who stayed and traveled after to watch you beat the crap out of a team you just did? I mean, that atmosphere at LSU last week, post-game, it felt like a home game. It really did. As a player, which one do you like more? But also just how appreciative are you of those type of moments, being on the road and winning like that and celebrating with the fans?
Well, there's nothing better than being home, which is true. It's true, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you what, the best memories is those big wins away from home. You know, when you get in the fourth quarter and you getting after it, right? And you looking over there, and the only thing you hear is them Tennessee Vol fans, Vol Nation, right? You know, and it turns in that opposing stadium kind of turns into Needleman Stadium. It's your stadium now. You know, you've gone into enemy territory and taken over. You know, and there's nothing like it. And you know, the toughest game, especially in the SEC, is your away game. You know, and it's just amazing. And the celebration on the plane, you know, with your teammates and all your people as you go home, you know, it's almost like a longer celebration after the game. There's just too many times when you're home after the game, everybody go with their families, right? But you got to get on that plane, get on that bus, right? And go home. I think our first win when we scratched that 10-year itch in '95 was away from home, right? You know, in Birmingham. That's the best plane ride ever, you know, on the way home. So those away victories, man, are some of my most, some of my fondest memories were away games.
Well, obviously, Tennessee picked up a huge win on the road against LSU last week, and Tennessee's now 5-0, 2-0 in SEC play. It is ranked number 6 in the country. Spencer, would you have thought when Josh Heupel came in that it would take just this short of time to be playing in games like this? I mean, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people could have been in on Heupel, out on Heupel, whatever, but I don't know if many of us thought that it would take this short of time, essentially a season and a half, to get to the level to where you're playing in this type of football game.
I mean, I didn't have much of a clue I knew what Coach Heupel did, when he was at his previous stop. But now, hey, he's come in here and he's changed the culture of these kids. They like him. He is definitely a player's coach. He's not a guy and I'm sure he yells and screams some, but when I've been there, he's just probably one of the most laid back dudes I've ever been around. And I'm totally not that way. So I'm totally not that way. So
come on,
So he was a quarterback guy, right? And I'm an O-line guy. We're trying to beat people up every day. So it's kind of mentality for me. To kid. I see where I always look first to where a ball club's going to be, how they're going to be is in the trenches. I thought that we weren't going to. I thought we were very average last year at best. In the offensive line play and defensive line play going into this year. That was going to tell me how good we could be. Those guys that came through, and especially in the offensive line, Coach Ellerby has done a hell of a job getting those guys running off the football and doing the things they're supposed to do, playing with a physical, nasty demeanor every snap. And Coach Gardner's got those jokers coming off the ball, looking to make plays and cause damage right there at that point of attack.
Jay, how great was it to have a guy like Spencer blocking in front of you? I mean, just more so than the physical stature and everything, but just the mentality that he still has, obviously, to this day.
Spencer was like unbelievable because, I don't even know how long Spence you could play every position. You could play guard, you could play center. And Spencer was like, all right. You know, it was like, say, Spence, you want to go in there guard? All right. You know, and he transfers from over on defensive line. Like, it was almost mid-season, if I remember correctly. Wasn't it, Spence? Like, you were playing defense, and then next thing I turn around, and he's blocking for us. And I'm like, man, that's pretty good.
Well, we were going into the last week of training camp, and I was like, well, Philip goes, hey, you're going to come to play an offensive lineman. I said, okay, whatever. I was kind of pissed with Coach Brooks because he didn't fight for me a little bit more there and keep me on the defensive side of the ball. But, hey,
I'm glad he didn't.
It is what it is. Enjoyed my experience, you know, and never played really offensive line, didn't know much about it until I got to Tennessee, until they moved me. You know, I mean, this was coming out of my redshirt freshman year, and hey, I didn't start many ball games there early in the year, but you know, I mean, we got to go to Georgia, made my first start at Georgia. I think that was where it was at, and
right,
pretty cool, man. You know what I mean? You go on the road and make your first start in Athens, Georgia. I mean, that's a crazy place. They don't like Tennessee either. So,
yeah. And y'all were blocking Richard Seymour too.
Oh yeah, they were, you know, we played against some dogs every day, and me and Jack Lipton were both redshirt freshmen, and you know, had a young group, you know, with an experienced backfield. And hey, when you got great running backs, it makes the average offensive lineman look good. So Jay made me look better than I was ever thought about doing.
Yeah, man. I disagree with you, you know. It's really great when that hole's wide open and no play, you know. So I appreciate everything, you know, and what you did. Making the transition was like, I mean, it was unbelievable how fast you did it and how calm you were doing it. Yeah, I'm good. You know, I'm like, you remember the game we were in the huddle? I was like, you good? You ready to go? He's like, yeah, let's go. Man. I'm like, it makes you have confidence as a player. You're like, man, he got it. I'm cutting to the right, you
know? I obviously, you know, we're going to continue to break down this matchup and everything, but I do want to. I referenced this play earlier, and when I was kind of getting ready to have you guys on, I kept seeing your play, Jay, of that 80-yard run in 96 or whatever. And I keep looking, and I'm seeing this incredible block. I mean, this really good block. And Spencer, for my entire life, literally until this week, so apologies. I think somebody told me this, and I probably just forgot. But you were always the center. You were a center. You were a center. You were a center. So I see this incredible block. I'm like, oh, yeah, who's that block right there? Nice little faux block. Go wrap it around, going to get that middle linebacker. Well, great block. It's not Spencer. The Spencer's playing center. And then Brent Hubbs tells me that's you. So I was like, wow. Hey, Spencer can play a little bit, right?
Yeah, man. You know, my first 2 years, I played guard. I played left guard beside Jack Lipton. You know, and then when Trey Teague graduated, I moved me to center. So never played the center a day in my entire life. So until we got to camp, and they said, hey, you're going to center. I said, all right, well, you got to teach me how to play football. I have no clue. So, you know, we get to was preferences. So, you know, one of the things I pride myself in is not putting the ball on the ground. You know what I mean? But when they moved me to center, we were in camp, and I mean, they was footballs laying every place. You talk about Mike Berry was so pissed every day, chewing me up one side down the other. You know what I mean? We get in the first ball, we're playing Syracuse in the Carrier Dome, which is the hottest place on earth if you go in September. I'm just telling you. So we get up there, put T's under center, and I go, uh-oh, snaps the football. I go, uh-oh, he didn't take the football. I said, I ain't letting this joker on the ground now. I said, we ain't having a fumble snap. We ain't having this because I'm tired of getting my ass chewed. So, no, I mean, hey, what do you do? As an offensive lineman, you just take off with it. And I got me a penalty on that one. But it wasn't going on the ground, boys, I'm telling you.
Hey, it wasn't a turnover.
No, but going back to the Alabama game and running 6 gaps, Jay, all day long. Yeah. It was bread and butter play for us. You know what I mean? It was one of them deals. Hey, you pull around, center blocks back, you pull around the double team, and you're looking for that front side linebacker. That front side linebacker for Alabama that time, I remember correctly, he ran, and we turned back around on the backside inside linebacker.
Right.
Like, hey, this dude's going to hit his head on the goalpost because he's a track star. Hell, he can go. So we went. I was like, I ain't catching him, but I'll meet him down there someplace. So, but I mean, that was one of my most memorable times playing football because I remember that, you know. And what's crazy is my daughter said, "Hey, that's you." I said, Yeah, that's me, honey. So, she don't know, and that's fine. I don't care. I don't talk about all that stuff. So, because it's just part of my history and my past, and I enjoy it. Love every bit of it. Love talking about it to people, and it's a great experience. And having great people to play with was an awesome deal.
Right.
Spencer, you weren't a part of the game in '93 that was a tie, right? Because you were undefeated against Alabama.
Yeah, no, my red shirt freshman year was 1995 when they were in when they beat Alabama for the first time in 10 years. It was my freshman year when they went to Legion Field.
Right.
Jay got to play. He did, I guess you never played in Tuscaloosa, did you?
I did 93. I was a freshman.
Okay, so they rotated that.
I was at that game, and I was sick. You talk about crying. I'll say this: David Palmer. That was the biggest problem. He dove. The ball went to him every single play, and this is right after Charlie Garner went for 80. Right? We win that game, and that's the 80-yard touchdown of all time. That's the most. I mean, it was 7 slants. Charlie Garner cut off that left side. I'll never forget it. And he ran. Antonio, I think Langton, ran him down in the corner of the end zone at the end and tackled him for a touchdown. So we're all excited and hyped, because we're going to win this game. And then they gave the ball to David Palmer. Every single play, I think about 4 plays, they get down there and score. And David Palmer lined up at quarterback. Had never done it before. And then they got unbalanced line. We didn't shift over. Like, I remember that like yesterday. And we were just crying. We tied them when we were sitting in the locker room like we didn't beat them. Everybody. I don't care, the toughest guy in that locker room, we were crying because we knew, that we had a chance to win that game.
Well, I think it's the dumbest thing in all of sports you can tie in an NFL football game nowadays. I think it's ridiculous.
We should have played that out.
Yeah, we can all have our opinions.
That up as a win. We won that game. You know what? We won.
We can all have our opinions on how overtime rules should be handed out, but no one should ever end in a tie football game. So. It's a little weird. I want to get one more thing, then we're going to take a 30-second breather and then get into this matchup. Spencer, is it safe to say that, and sometimes it might be too tough to rank these, and that's okay. We kind of discussed this over the Florida week, but does the Alabama game mean more to you than any other game on the schedule? If not, it's okay to say no, but like Florida's up there. I know Vandy's up there as well, but is it Alabama? I mean, is that the game for you, Spencer Riley?
100%. I mean, Alabama, I'll be honest with you, for me, it was Alabama. Beating Alabama was the most important thing for us, no matter what, because, you grew up and, hey, everybody said, hey, you got to beat Alabama, got to beat Alabama, got to beat Alabama. And then the Florida rivalry now probably outranks the Alabama rivalry because Alabama's beat the piss out of us so many times in a row. You know what I mean? So it's kind of lost the edge to that. For me, I don't care. I try to state Alabama. I was just getting nauseous every time I go through there. So, it's just one of those things that it is what it is. Alabama is definitely a place that, in my heart, I cannot stand to watch them play football. Now, I enjoy watching Nick Saban coach football, but I ain't a fan of the University of Alabama.
Yeah, that's fair to say. Jay, you want to add on anything right there? Is Alabama it for you?
It ends up being it, I think you always start with a team, you go, man, this is our home field, right? Like when you build a team, you go, hey, when you talk about playing games, you want to win at home. When people come here, you gotta win. You're in your backyard, your front yard. You gotta win your games in this conference at home. So whoever it is playing, that's it, And then, you talk about getting to the championship game, right? You got to be able to get the championship game. You got to go through beating Florida, right? You got to beat the Floridas. You got to beat the Georgias if you're going to play for the SEC title, right? But I think then, especially where Alabama is right now, I think that one of those, final goals is beating Alabama, Because if you can beat Alabama, you're probably going to make it to the college football playoff and have a chance to play for a national title based on where they are right now. But it's always been the case that was always our identity, we had a chip on our shoulder when it came to playing Alabama, because it was our identity to say, hey, the power has changed over. You know, it changed over. And when we start beating them, we changed over and became that upper echelon program. We always talked about that. We want to be the top 5 program, top 2. We want to play for a national championship. You got to beat those teams consistently. So that's kind of where it ended.
Tennessee, Alabama, that's coming up today, 3:30 on CBS, sold-out crowd at Neyland Stadium. We're going to get into this matchup and how much the last 15 years come into play, or does it not come into play whatsoever. We'll get Jay and Spencer's thoughts on that here in just one moment. But this is the VFL Players Lounge. It's brought to you by the Volunteer Club, powered by Spire Sports. Can't thank them enough for helping us do this every single week. You guys have loved this podcast so far. Hearing from guys like Spencer, hearing from guys like Jay and TK and Gerald Riggs, Jabari Davis. I mean, we've had a bunch. Ramon Foster. We've had a ton of good ones on so far this season. We'll continue to bring them on every single game day. But a big thank you to Spire Sports, and give this a listen from our friends over at Spire.
The game has changed and Spire Sports is here. With name, image, and likeness arriving, your Orange fandom can now be put into action. Visit thevolunteerclub.com and become a member. 90% of every dollar generated through the Volunteer Club, powered by Spire, will go directly to athletes to improve the student-athlete experience at Tennessee. It's not just about winning the next game. It's about next season. It's about the next generation. It's about the Tennessee legacy. Join at thevolunteerclub.com. That's thevolunteerclub.com.
Welcome back into it, the VFL Players Lounge, right here at Volquest.com, our game day podcast. Tennessee, number 6, hosting Alabama, number 3. Alabama 6-0, 3-0 in SEC. Tennessee 5-0, 2-0 in the Southeastern Conference. First time since 1989, Tennessee and Alabama meet, both undefeated and ranked inside the top 10. Big-time matchup coming up later today, 3:30 Eastern Time. And, of course, that game will be on CBS. We got Jay Graham and Spencer Riley on here today to help preview this matchup. And, Jay, it's been 15 years, man. It's the elephant in the room. Kind of like Florida winning 16 of the last 17. Tennessee able to get that monkey off its back and kind of, try to start a new trend there. How much does that come into play here psychologically for those players in the locker room? They've never beaten Alabama. The players before them never beaten Alabama. Does that, is it snap and clear? Is it reset mentality? But how much does that play a factor?
I think it plays a factor when you haven't done anything else, right? So you mentioned beating Florida. You look at when was the last time they were sitting where they are right now, in the top 10, right? Because these kids can sit here with all confidence and say, we've had a lot of firsts this year. We hadn't beaten Florida most of the time. So we're a different team. And also, we always say a team has a 1-year life expectancy, right? So every team is different every year. So I'm guessing in their locker room, in their meeting rooms, they're talking about we're special. So there's going to be a lot of firsts this year for a team that's special, right? And they got to think, hey, there's all these lofty goals. All these things don't mean anything if you don't catch the ball, if you don't go tackle the guy, if you don't do the little things that you got to do within the play. So I'm sure Coach Heupel and his whole staff, they're talking about, do the things we coach you to do. Do the things we train you to do, and don't worry about how big and how, how big the game can be. It's one play at a time. Don't play the game backwards. Line up, play hard, 7 seconds of strain, and then turn around and do the same thing again. And do the same thing for 80 to 90 plays. So I'm sure, because they got coaches that got experience in these situations, I'm sure they're talking about the things you're supposed to talk about to help your team go out and play well.
Spencer, when you look at, obviously, this Tennessee football team, you look at this Alabama team, I feel like for the first time, not only, we did our picks yesterday. Everybody's already read them and everything. Can Tennessee win this game? 100% Tennessee can win this game. Will it? I don't know. We'll find out. That's why you play the game. But this is the first time in 7 years to where you're not just going through the motions. Tennessee can walk in and win this football game. For Tennessee, in order to do that, to take down this Alabama defense that gives up a little under 2 touchdowns a game. You got Will Anderson Jr. on one side. Offensively, is it about just sticking to your strengths, doing what you do well, or would you need to maybe throw another wrinkle in there to try to get past an Alabama-type defense?
Well, if history, we'll go back and look at history. The team that will rush for 100-plus yards in a ball game usually wins the football game in these type of ball games. You know what I mean? I would say 150 yards of rushing versus Alabama this week, you tend to see a great chance to win the football game because it means you're controlling the clock a little bit. And Tennessee don't care about controlling the clock. They don't care one bit about that, and that's okay. As long as you're productive on first down, you know what I mean, and on offense to keep you in and out of those pass rush situations of third and long, that's what they do well. They rush the passer so well and bring a lot of different exotic pressures from Coach Golden. You know what I mean? So from Alabama, I mean they're going to do some really crazy things for you and try to put you in some bad spots as an offensive line. So the offensive line's got to be on their P's and Q's this week, and they got to go out and perform and change the line of scrimmage. Move the line of scrimmage vertically and horizontally and create some of those seams for our running back.
Spence, as an offensive lineman, when you have a caliber player that's going to be, he'll be top 3-4 NFL draft pick come up in May, and Will Anderson Jr., he's on one side. They'll move him around a little bit, but he's on one side. I mean, as an offensive lineman, as an offensive staff, you have to game plan to block that guy. But then that opens up something for down the line. And down the line, I mean, that impact, how difficult is it as an offensive lineman having that type of impactful player, knowing what it opens up and creates for his other teammates on the defensive line?
Well, it's not that you're trying to win you want to win every matchup against the kid. You know what I mean? As a player. But at the end of the day, you want to control him and maintain him. And, he's going to make these plays because he's a good football player. That's what he does. You know what I mean? But you're just trying to slow him down, make him do things that he don't want to do. You know what I mean? You got to take away his best pass rush move, and you got to take away his best run stopping move. And if you can do those two things and just, not really eliminate him from the ball game, but control him and maintain him, and he's going to make his 5 to 6 plays a ball game. Hey, as long as they're not big plays in the ball game, you know what I mean? If he makes one on first down or something like that, as long as he ain't on a 4th down stop, you've done all right.
Jay, what could have been a big play in the football game against LSU is when you have a freshman running back in the football game, doesn't even go and pick up the blitzing safety. The safety drills your quarterback. He fumbles. Actually, Dylan Sampson picked up that football and ran almost for a first down. That could have been a big turning point in the football game, but it wasn't. But for your running backs, picking up blitzes, picking up and helping out with a guy like Will Anderson Jr. or Dallas Turner on the other side, it's got to be a massive game for those backs, especially with the ball not even in their hands.
Yes, it's going to be key. A guy like Will Anderson, okay, he forces guys to double team him, right? You want to put your back on him, chipping him, So it's important that running backs understand how to chip, because if they're late chipping, you might as well not even chip, with a guy like Will Anderson, because it's a backfield, too much clutter, right? And Alabama's good at, once you do something like that, they'll bring the inside backer and then, force you to get off of the chip, right? So you almost want to have different ways of like Spencer talked about. It's going to end up being a man-on-man thing. The tackle's going to have to block him sometimes. And then you get to the help of chipping just so they, you can't rely on something and do it every time, right?
No.
Because Nick Saban is best at finding that, right? And then taking advantage of that. So you kind of got to mix it up, and you got to do things that kind of, present different pictures. So it's going to be important for the backs to step up because they're taught to pass rush through guys. So they take both you and the player will push. They want to push the pocket and get to the quarterback and get in his face. So you got to be strong in pass protection. So it's always important, especially when defensive players know how to rush. In Alabama, those guys, linebackers, safety, they know how to rush. You got to pass pro. You got to shoot your hands. You got to stand your ground and keep the pressure from Hendon Hooker. He don't want to throw the ball and have to shorten his step and get hit as he's throwing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be important in this game.
Jabari Small looked like a different animal since getting his shoulder banged up against Akron.
Sure.
Ran well the second half against Florida. Ran well the entire game against LSU.
Mm-hmm.
What did you like from Jabari Small?
Jabari started to run vertical. His best moves are cross face and vertical.
Yeah.
And he, this happens to a back. It happened when I was running. You kind of want to do different things to mix up your game, but you must do what you're best at first. And he's starting to get into the groove of things. I think he was a little banged up in preseason, so he didn't get hit a lot in preseason. Now he's starting to settle into the season, and you're seeing a different player as far as he's breaking tackles now. He's getting vertical and attacking defenders in small spaces and making them miss. So that's the difference right now. He's running at a high level right now, and he needs to continue to do that. And he has great ball security. He's been great all year with that. Knock on wood, and he needs to continue to do that.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, boys, a couple more minutes. Spencer, I do want to ask you, we've gone almost 40 minutes of this podcast. We haven't mentioned Bryce Young yet. We'll see if he can get out there for snap number one. Of course, he missed last week, got hurt against Arkansas. I think if I'm Nick Saban, I'm sitting here saying, I need BY to play because I need him to win this football game. That's how good Tennessee's playing football right now, right? How do you balance that? And if it's not Bryce Young, they got Jalen Milroe, got Ty Simpson. It becomes a different ball game. You're still so good everywhere else, so good at the line of scrimmage, good defensively. It's a team sport. But if the reigning Heisman Trophy's not in the football game, it's kind of a different look offensively. They should have killed Texas A&M last week. Obviously escaped with a win there. What are your thoughts on the whole quarterback thing and what Tennessee should expect today?
Well, if you don't got a trigger, man, it's hard to play this game. I mean, at a high level, there's a reason the reason those top 10 teams in the country are really good because they got really good quarterbacks. Because it makes your offensive line good, makes your running backs look good, makes your wide receivers look good. On the offensive side of the ball, if you got somebody who can distribute the football and manage the game and correct your protection stuff. So I mean, that's a huge deal. He's a very talented quarterback, man. He runs it well, he throws it well. I enjoy watching him play because he does some of the little things better than most quarterbacks does. So if he doesn't play, I'm sure it'll be a drop off a little bit at quarterback because he was a Heisman Trophy winner. So I don't know if the backup's going to be the Heisman Trophy winner this year, but But you always got to be the next man up mentality, whoever it is in whatever position. So that's going to be the fun part about playing football. People don't know you may be out of left tackle. It's going to go against a first rounder who's a sophomore in college or a freshman in college. And those battles right there, those are the ones as a young guy, those are the ones you want to go against. That's what you want to, that's going to be your mark starting your career.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to freaking man up and play ball. And hey, it's man on man. And hey, you ain't getting the best of me today. You may get me once or twice, but at the end of the day, I'm going to win the war.
Mm-hmm.
You guys need to watch Jefferson County play football because that team adopts the mentality of its head coach right there, Spencer Riley. Last thing, boys, and Jay, we'll start with you because you've done this before. I need not only a score prediction for later today, Tennessee, Alabama. I need a bold prediction. Tennessee will win, because of this, or lose because of this, whatever. Score prediction and bold prediction for today.
I think Tennessee is going to win, okay, and the score is going to be somewhere a one-score game in the 40s, right? I think it's going to be somewhere around 45-38. I think Alabama's going to be able to score. I think Bryce is going to play. I think our team is hard because our tempo and what we do offensively. I think we're going to win because of Hendon Hooker throwing the ball between the hashes. The way he can throw the ball between the hashes is the difference, as far as in this game. And the physicality of our receivers is going to be the key. So I think 45-38 is going to be the game right here. I just think Alabama can't score enough right here. And I think we're gonna score. It's gonna be kind of like that LSU a couple years ago, LSU Alabama. But we're gonna have to run the ball at the end. But I think Henry's gonna be the key. And I think we're gonna be in the college football playoff. That's my opinion.
That is what you call bold prediction right there. I like it. Spencer, I don't know how you can outdo that one, but let's try a score and bold prediction.
38-35 Tennessee. We're gonna win Saturday. So here's what I'm going to say. Got to run the football at the end of the day. Got to dominate the line of scrimmage. And this is going to be a telltale sign of, hey, are we at that next level? Because at the end of the day, your offensive line play is going to dictate how far you go. If you can handle the pressure, you can handle the run game, create that movement. Hendon Hooker is going to do what he does. You know what I mean? There's been so much inconsistency in the offensive line play over the years. This is where it's going to be won. This is where you're going to step up as a group and say, we're going to win this football game, and you're going to like it. And this is how it's going to have to be. And the defensive line is going to have to come in there, and the linebackers, and they are going to have to manage and dictate to make them Alabama throw the football, which is something we don't do very well, is covering the pass right now. So kind of gives me a little bit of a heart attack every time I see them throw the football. You know what I mean? But that's what I'm looking for. I would say a New Year's Day, New Year's Six game. I'm not confident enough as Jay Graham to say we're going to be in the college football playoffs yet.
College football playoffs, we're going. Georgia's struggling right now. Okay?
Hey, I'm with you.
We're going to beat them too. Let's go.
I'm with you, man.
I was on Bourbon Street last week and just did a walkthrough. Maybe we can be back there, at the end of at the end of the year, and there for a week as Tennessee comes back. So looking forward to it. And today should be really, really fun. And I know it's a lot of memories for guys like you guys and former players and Tennessee fans. This game means something. And for the first time in about 7 years, this game, you're not going through the motions. Tennessee has an amazing chance to win this football game. Really does. And so it should be a good one. Spencer, thank you so much. Jay, thank you so much, boys. And this was great. Let's do it again. All right.
Yeah. Appreciate you, Eric.
All right. That is Spencer Riley and Jay Graham, VFL's former Tennessee running back and former Tennessee offensive lineman. Both these guys coaching in the high school ranks, go and support their teams, Concord and Jefferson County. Do a fantastic job, both Jay and Spencer Riley. All right. General's quarters all day long. Front page of Volquest.com. In-depth analysis, comments, real-time reaction throughout the game, and all your pregame coverage, all your game day coverage and weekend coverage of Tennessee, Alabama. It's at Volquest.com. $1 for 1 year. What are you waiting on? Go ahead and help us out and join us there today. Guys, thank you so much. Enjoy the day. It's the third Saturday in October. Hope you guys have fun. A big shout out to, again, the Volunteer Club, powered by Spire Sports, for presenting the VFL Players Lounge. Guys, thank you so much. Enjoy the day, and we'll see you next week on the VFL Players Lounge.